Early this morning, FBI agents executed a search at the Bethesda, Maryland home of John Bolton, who previously served as National Security Advisor under former President Donald Trump. According to sources familiar with the matter, the raid is part of a national security investigation into whether classified documents were being improperly stored or handled. The FBI initially offered no details, but later released a short statement confirming that court-authorized activity was underway in the area, stressing that there was no threat to public safety. To carry out such an operation, the FBI would have needed a federal judge to approve a warrant based on probable cause that evidence of a crime could be found at the property. This requirement shows that investigators had specific reasons to suspect that Bolton's home might contain sensitive government material. The search appears to be connected, at least in part, to Bolton's controversial memoir, The Room Where It Happened, which was highly critical of Donald Trump and detailed his experiences in the White House. When the book was released, the Trump administration argued that it contained classified material and accused Bolton of failing to complete the proper clearance process before publication. At the time, they filed a lawsuit and launched a criminal investigation to block the book's release, although Bolton consistently maintained that no classified information was included. Once President Joe Biden took office, Attorney General Merrick Garland dismissed the lawsuit and dropped the investigation, effectively ending the legal fight. However, this FBI action shows that concerns over whether Bolton retained classified records have not entirely disappeared, and investigators may now be revisiting issues first raised years ago. The raid also carries political weight, as it comes amid ongoing debates about the handling of classified documents by high-level officials. Donald Trump himself has repeatedly attacked the FBI over its 2022 search of Mar-a-Lago, calling it unconstitutional and an abuse of power, even though a federal judge had authorized that search as well. Legal experts point out the irony that Bolton, now a sharp critic of Trump, faces a nearly identical situation. The broader context is that the FBI has been increasingly drawn into politically charged cases involving sensitive materials, raising questions about how the agency balances law enforcement responsibilities with the political fallout that often follows. In Bolton's case, agents were seen outside his suburban Washington residence as part of what appears to be a straightforward classified records investigation, yet the timing and political background make the situation especially notable. The legal consequences for Bolton will depend entirely on what the FBI uncovers during its search. Experts explain that intentionally taking classified documents out of secure government facilities and storing them at home can be a felony, punishable by years in prison. And past cases have shown that people without political power have faced severe penalties for such actions. At the same time, there are instances where officials accidentally removed sensitive documents, often by misplacing them or mixing them with personal papers. In those situations, criminal charges are less common, though individuals can lose their security clearances and face professional consequences. This was seen in President Joe Biden's own case, where classified records were discovered in his personal office and residence, but returned voluntarily, leading investigators to conclude that no crime had been committed. For Bolton, the severity of the situation will depend on whether agents determine that any documents found were kept knowingly and deliberately, or whether any retention was accidental.